28th, we'll go with that. And first order of business, I don't even know anymore. Land acknowledgement. Before we proceed further, I would like to acknowledge that our college is located on the native land of the Hahamungna tribe of the Tongva Nation. Please take a moment to remember those who came before us. This is also a time to remember the urgency of now and the Black Lives Matter movement call to action in response to the countless Black and Indigenous people of color, known as BIPOC, lives lost due to state's violence and police brutality. I need to read a statement here. Pursuant to Executive Order N-2920, dated March 17th, 2020, and signed by Governor Gavin Newsom, we are modifying the way that the public will participate in academic senate meetings during the fall 2020 semester. As part of its response to the ongoing coronavirus outbreak, the Academic Senate provides members of the general public the opportunity to make comment on agenda items or items not on the agenda. Public comment can be submitted via email to me, and submissions will be read aloud in their entirety at the public meeting. Such submissions must be received prior to the start of the meeting. The guidelines for the time and quantity of public comment remain in effect. I have no emails indicating that we have any public comments. Are there any members of the public here who would like to comment? If so, please raise your hand in the participant window. And are there any Senate representatives who would like to make a public comment? Okay, then next up we have the approval of minutes. I'm pretty sure I have my slides in order here. From 9/14, you got them in your packet. Are there any recommendations for adjustments, corrections, or anything of that effect to the minutes? Then, unless anybody objects, we will approve them by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to approving the minutes by unanimous consent? Then the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Next up, we have our constituency reports. I do not know who all is here, so just chime in when I get to you if you are. FA. I don't see President Whitworth. So what I will do is, unless there are any objections, table that in the event that he does show up, or another representative of the FA. Adjunct faculty. And I do not see Professor Constantine. Are there any other members of the adjunct faculty who were going to give a report on behalf of the Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee? Then we will likewise table that one. Classified Senate.
Good afternoon.
Good, we have people here. Mr. Partia, go ahead.
Hello. So three quick things. In our September 16th Senate meeting, we had the ICER second read, and we went ahead and approved it. So from the Classified Senate, we went ahead and approved that document. Similar to the email that faculty received this Friday, classified staff also received an email from the Flex Advisory Committee regarding the theme of professional development that happened a month ago. So we also got that email. And then I've also asked Candace Jones, our Vice President of IT, to come in and discuss AP 3721 and BP 3720 after that review that the Academic Senate did. So we'll have a conversation in the Senate in October 7th meeting to provide any suggestions or comments for the College Council meeting that happens the week after. That is all.
Thank you. Do we have, we do have an Associated Student representative here. Do you have a report?
Hi, everyone. And yes, I do. Just a few updates from the associate students. We have started to review our applications for our vacant positions. So we're hoping to have the Vice President of Business Affairs and Public Relations very soon. And equally, some of our members attended the fall planning retreat and we voiced some of our concerns and opinions. And we were really happy to see a lot of you guys in attendance, and we're really grateful for all your attention and feedback. Also, as the associate students, we would really like to remind everyone to really notify and update the students of what's going on with the college. I know that faculty and staff may have already received a notification about spring going majority online, but I know that none of the students have received a formal letter. But as of now, that's all my reports.
Okay, thank you. Management Association.
Yes, thank you, Mateo, aka Dr. Hennis. Well, as actually Christina is mentioning, now that it is official that we're remote in spring, managers are planning accordingly to learn from the fall semester, being our first official for remote semester, and learn to properly support our staff and our students in this transition. Again, learning from what we've been able to capture about the technical issue, just the ongoing really face-to-face support that wasn't there and folks are used to really bring that higher to the priority list. And another thing is that since our last academic senate meeting, I'm sure many of you whose names were on that list have been privy to the new administrative performance evaluation process and have since been informed that that is active. If you haven't gotten an email, you either weren't selected, but if you have, you're like me, getting many reminders to complete them. So do that soon. I know I will, because those emails are annoying. And lastly, as Ernesto was mentioning, this weekend, and I believe like our faculty, classified and management received an email, really more of a message recognizing the inequities handed down on the case with Breonna Taylor, where the bullets hitting the wall apparently meant more than those that took her life. So it's just something for us to really contemplate and work together to really digest that down and support each other, especially obviously our Black and African American community, and just ensure that we lift our students up and support each and every one of them. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll work up to adjunct faculty. Professor Constantine is here.
Yes, hi everyone. Just have a brief report today. I did attend the Career Communities Social Justice Conference held by Mr. Anthony Francoso. I just want to thank them for the opportunity to attend, and it was really insightful. I also want to shout out a student, Philip Apolinar, who's a formerly incarcerated student who had a very insightful story to share. And I'm also in contact with the Faculty Association regarding a health insurance option for adjunct faculty. Hopefully we can work together to get an option in the near future. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. And I am told that the president of the Faculty Association is having some technical difficulties, so we'll just keep an eye out for him. Should he be able to resolve those? It's not that he doesn't care. Okay. Here. Whoops. Officers' reports. I guess I need to be on the next screen anyway. My report, I didn't get to give one last week or last meeting. I'm going to do it now, and it's quite a bit, but hopefully it'll go by fast. There's a technology survey sitting in your inbox. Look for an email from, I believe it's iPro. And it went out to, I believe, all faculty. It is getting a very poor response. And so I just want to plug that. Please, it takes maybe 10, 15 minutes to do. I highly encourage you to do that, and encourage your constituents to do that as well. I do see you, President Whitworth. We will work our way back to you in just a moment. PCC Connect, I have been asked to remind faculty that this is a tool that we can use to connect students who are apparently experiencing difficulty with services that we have on campus. So please, in your Canvas shells, make use of PCC Connect. Last meeting, we were told that we can expect that there will be convened technology focus groups. I've had 2 individuals express interest in those. We were looking for 6 to 10 to represent the faculty in these technology focused groups. You don't have to be a tech expert. In fact, we want people from all across the spectrum. Probably we want to hear from folks who aren't tech experts as well as those who know the technology. Please renew that invitation to your constituents, and then please email me directly if you or your constituents are interested in participating in those focus groups. As you heard, winter and spring, you saw in your email, are online, and I'm told that the students should be told pretty soon. There was an assumption that it had already been messaged to the students, so thank you, Ms. Zhang, for letting us know that that was not the case. I have it here, though, to say that I've been working with the Vice President of Instruction to try to obtain a list of degrees and certificates that cannot be completed unless students are face-to-face. Auto shop, welding, electrical engineering, that sort of thing, with the idea that that will try to help inform what classes may be face-to-face if edicts from the county's Department of Health are relaxed and we are allowed to start considering bringing students to campus in small numbers. As far as curriculum review, I should probably read what I've written on this one. We're looking at having groups of faculty being trained and then looking at their curricula through an equity lens. And this is a conversation that I've had with in several settings. It seems like now the word is out among some groups and we're now looking at trying not to duplicate efforts. But I expect that the new Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer will be taking this up when that individual arrives to our campus. There is an EEO trainee email in your inbox as well, went out last week. The idea is to find out what interest there is in folks getting EEO trained to serve on hiring committees. If you or your constituents are interested, please respond to that email and that will inform them how much scheduling they need to do. We are looking at having online training being conducted. They just need to know what the need is there. It's annual update season. Task stream spaces have been opened. I think they were open last Monday. And there is a better alignment between the EMP, the Educational Master Plan, and the annual updates. Probably be looking for something from your department chairs, your faculty chairs, for work on that. That's my guess. At the September 9 Board of Trustees meeting, the Board of Trustees were presented with data on our success and retention in spring. And what they looked at was they were presented with data that compared spring 2019 to spring 2020. It may not be a surprise that retention in spring 2020 was lower. Of course, success rates were off the charts because all Fs and Ws were converted to EWs. But the point here is that I want to make is that at least one member of the board, and it seemed like it was a sentiment that was received by the board, noted that a dip in our retention rates in spring was likely related to COVID. My point here is the Board of Trustees didn't look at poor data from spring and say, oh, you faculty, you need to pick it up. It was, we understand this is the situation that we were living in spring. And so I just want you to be aware that at least the Board of Trustees, well, not at least, the Board of Trustees is looking at things holistically when we see what our numbers were for spring. Finally, I sent my last, what I called my last reminder email to Senate reps and alternates that the Senate will be reimbursing for books purchased. There are 4 books on a list. And look in your inbox for an email from me that was sent out today. I really want to encourage you to pick up your book if you haven't already. Start reading. I'd like to do something with that. It may not happen until November. I'm not sure what the schedules look like, and I want to give folks time to actually read. This is, I'm thinking about this as a year-long, at least a year-long look, right, at having conversations. And I will address other stuff in later reports. Before we move on to the Vice President's report, I do want to go back. I believe I did see President Whitworth is here. And so unless there's an objection, unless anybody has any questions on the President's report, I will go ahead and open it up to Professor Whitworth. Professor Constantine, you unmuted yourself. Did you have something?
I think my question is more general, so I should probably wait.
Okay, cool. President Whitworth. Am I mistaken? Okay, I maybe is continuing to experience technical difficulties. I do see his name here, but I also see that he is muted. In that event, we'll just let me know when you're ready, President Whitworth, if you would like. Vice President's report. Do we have a report?
Yes, sorry. So I just wanted to inform everyone that I held a meeting for the bylaws, rules and procedures committee on 9/14, and they unanimously voted in John Hanley as their chair. And then I also held a meeting for the nominations and elections committee on September 18th, and they unanimously voted in Jared Ashcroft as chair. So those committees now have chairs. Thanks.
And congratulations, Professors Hanley and Ashcroft. All right. Do we have a secretary's report?
Yes, we do.
Cool.
I wanted to remind everyone or let everyone know that the virtual Black Student Success Center is up and running. And please remind your students that if they need help from an academic coach, or if they just needed to ask quick questions, the virtual Black Student Success Center is up and running, and that Zoom link will be going out to the entire campus. Thank you.
Okay, and then we have, I believe, a treasurer's report. I'm certain we have a treasurer's report.
Thank you, Matt. I would just like to read the numbers into the record. So as of August 18th, 2020, our combined balance was, do you want me to read each account, Matt?
Just the total and the change is good.
Okay. So the combined balance for checking and savings was $21,067.08. As of September 22nd, the combined balance was $21,075.89 for a net change of an increase of $8.01. Thank you.
There we go. It's moving in the right direction. President Whitworth, what doesn't add up? Well, just move. I'm not sure what I'm being told. Campus-wide committees. Oh, that is me. So College Council, what do I have here? So this is our effort to share information with you that's going on across the campus. According to College Council, enrollments are down, but head counts are down, but slightly less. Enrollments are down about 9%. Head counts are down by like 6.5%. What that means is while we have slightly fewer students, overall, they're taking fewer units. I think that makes sense. The mass communication AP was discussed and kicked back to the Senate for further conversation. The executive committee will propose a counteroffer and have a conversation and then see what we are able to bring back to you. But I was told in the event that AP did not continue or did not pass, then the conversation would continue. And that's exactly what was told at College Council. The conversation will continue. And a statement was made in College Council about that AP. It's not about not having ideas out there, but about where the best place is to have the exchange of ideas, for what it's worth. The Facilities Standing Committee has a new chair. Candace Jones replaced Mike Bush as the administrative co-chair. Candace Jones is the Associate Vice President of Technology. Mike Bush is the Vice President of Business Services. And he will continue as a committee, as a member of the committee. And a committee is currently being formed. So I think there's a subcommittee of the Facilities Standing Committee. It's being formed to explore emerging technology, including artificial intelligence that may best meet the technology needs of our campus. I hope that's not true artificial intelligence, because every piece of science fiction I have seen has us not as the winners in that scenario. And then the Black Student Success Center stakeholder meeting, there will be a stakeholder meeting, and it will focus on identifying priorities to meet short and long-term space needs. But the faculty co-chair has taken, and she's hit the ground running on the Black Student Success Center. Calendar Standing Committee, we are working on fall 2022. The calendar will likely be recommended in 2 parts like this year. So probably we're going to work on fall 2022 and then bring that for approval, and then make a recommendation to College Council and then have that approved by the board. Subsequent to that, start looking at spring of 2023, or at least starting in January 2023 side of that calendar. The Strategic Planning Committee is developing a vision statement for the college. And this is to be a long-standing statement that guides what we do. And we're working on that statement and having it convey a student-centered vision with student-friendly language. We did have a couple of associated students weigh in this last time, and they brought some, I think, important insights. Still working on that. And then strategic, that is not, okay. Strategic planning, outcomes. An outcomes committee has just been formed and will meet next month. Some goals are to incorporate social justice outcomes at the course and institution level. We're also looking at the possibility of replacing the general education outcomes, which don't touch on a lot of our certificates, particularly in CTE, replacing those with institution level outcomes. Thus concludes my committee reports, and I will shoot it now to the Vice President, Professor Jaramillo, for Academic Senate subcommittees.
Okay, so I'm going to read out some updates that I got from different committees. So the Faculty Committee on Online Education has written us that their goal for the year is to finish updating any outdated recommendations posted on their site. And they plan to communicate with us regularly through posting their agenda in minutes, and they will request to be on the Senate agenda for any official changes to their recommendations. The next committee was the Equivalence Committee. Their goals are to maintain I guess they didn't think we'd be hiring this year, so they're not sure that they'll have a lot of work to maintain, but they plan to continue on. They didn't really have a lot of reporting out to us. The Academic Senate Scholarship Committee's goal is to write a draft of best practices and do a better job of telling faculty of this opportunity for their best students. And they think that last year was very difficult, and so they're hoping that this year will be better. Their concern was the online made it very difficult to communicate with people. So hopefully this year we'll be able to better communicate with the Academic Senate Scholarship Committee. The LAC is changing their charge to coordinate and evaluate, or no, their goals for this year, sorry, were to update and distribute assessment training materials for faculty, and starting with faculty chairs and then general faculty. Then they want to strengthen the connection between SLO assessment and program review and clarify the roles, accountability, and authority involved in faculty assessment and process. They really want the Senate to be actively involved with their committee's charge, and they do plan to hopefully come to some Senate meetings and present some of their ideas. And the Adjunct Faculty Issues Committee said their goals for this year were to provide quality representation for all adjunct faculty, to work with the Faculty Association during negotiations related to adjunct faculty, to advocate for hiring of adjunct faculty from the African diaspora to reduce equity gaps, to work with the Academic Senate to increase our African American student population from 3.8% to at least 15% of the college student population, increase the retention of students from the African diaspora across campus, increase adjunct faculty office space across campus, and improve and strengthen rehire rights for adjunct faculty. And of course, they communicate with us through their monthly, or their chair report to us. And CAFPE, their goals for this year are to look at the ethical practices to ensure that students aren't cheating online, and to create a position paper. They're going to revisit their mission statement and make sure that new faculty and new employees are made aware of the committee. And they will send emails to the Senate to update us on their progress. And lastly, the Faculty Hiring Priorities Committee, they met twice and have developed the recommended rubric for the current round of hiring. Rather than considering programmatic things and alignment with the educational master plan, it's basically, is your program at risk of losing accreditation or certification in your area? Doesn't get a full-time hire. There are a couple of more things that we forwarded to Dr. Juni, but that's about the gist of it. We've started looking at the timeline for AP 7210 on faculty hiring. The idea is to have faculty submit and the committee prioritize hiring requests in spring for hiring that is to be done in the following spring. No changes have been made yet. The conversation has just been started. One question raised was whether the job flyer should be created by the faculty authors or of hiring requests, or if the work should stay with the hiring committee. So those were the reports that I received.
That was a mouthful. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Armia. Professor Nordstrom, you have a hand up?
Yeah, I just had a question on clarifying. What was is it a new committee, the CAFPE?
No, it's Committee on Academic Freedom and Professional Ethics.
Okay.
CAFPE. We just call it CAFPE by its acronym. None of these committees were new.
No problem. I just wanted to know what it was.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I think that was not quite half of our committees.
Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And we're going to move on. I need an agenda in front of me. Oh, consent item. Committee appointments. So that much ballyhooed Outcomes Committee, the new one, we have some Senate appointments for that. We've got an Institutional Effectiveness Committee appointment. And unless there is an objection, we will approve these by unanimous consent. Is there an objection to approving consent item C, which is agenda item H, by unanimous consent? Then those are approved by unanimous consent. I see that President Whitworth has unmuted himself. Are you with us? We'll check in a bit. Then next up, I have to pass the baton over to Vice President Jaramillo. And as I do, I'm going to put a link into the chat. It is on you, Professor Jaramillo.
Okay, so I am, as I've written you guys, we are, and we discussed last time, there's a Vice President of Instruction Hiring Committee selection that needs to be done. And so we set up a Google Drive, and you should have received the statements that were prepared by these individuals. So I'm going to show you the Google Drive so you can see what that's going to look like. Oh, I can't share my screen, it says.
I just stopped my sharing.
Okay.
And now I've made it so you should be able to share.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So let's share this. And so you can see the Google Drive, the Google survey. So when you open it, it will say hiring committee volunteers, and there were 7 faculty members who put their names in the hat. So Anthony Francoso, Jeffrey Winter, Jennifer Feebig, Catherine Nye, Linda Hintzman, Matt Hennis, and Katie Rodriguez. And so your order may be different because it changes by it randomly positions them for the surveys. And just so that you see, there are no, it's closed right now. So when we open it, then that will allow you to actually vote. You can abstain if you want. And the way that you're going to vote is to choose 3 choices. And so 3 of these 7 individuals, you should choose 3 of them. Okay, so we're going to stop this share and we're going to allow you guys to vote. So Matt has put in the chat the link to this Google form. So I am going to open it to accept responses now. So I just opened it. So you guys should be able to copy that link onto your drives to choose 3 individuals.
Dr. Jaramillo, I had a question about the list.
Yes.
So everyone on the list volunteered to be on the list.
That is correct. Everyone on the list volunteered. They wrote to me and said they were interested and sent their statements.
And does that committee have a specific charge to include is there a stipulation for the committee to be diverse in any way?
There was no stipulation on, I think we open it to all full-time faculty and whoever.
The same umbrella as all hiring committees, Matt? Is it under the same umbrella?
Yes.
So at least one person needs to be from a historically diverse background, as I believe, or does that not pertain to this committee?
I know the committee is planning on doing a lot of training so that they will be equitable, and I think it's going to be a blind evaluation. So when they evaluate candidates, they will be with no names on them.
I would be, may I? You're muted.
I know, sorry.
I would be,
President Hennis.
Thank you. I would be very surprised if it didn't stipulate in the administrator hiring procedure that you had to have somebody of color. I'd be very surprised if that was not in
Yes,
there.
because I'm just concerned that I'm not sure if it's public information of the ethnicity of the candidates, but I'm a little concerned that no one on that list, I have full faith in everyone on the list, but I'm just concerned that no one on the list is from the African diaspora.
We asked for anyone to volunteer, and this was the volunteer pool that we received.
Well, and if I can again.
Ms. President Hennis.
Thanks. These are only 3 faculty representatives on the committee. The committee consists of a lot of other people as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so far I have 22 responses. 23. Do we know how many senators are here?
Well, we had 24 and I forgot to take roll.
26 responses.
I believe there's a hand up as well.
Okay, I didn't, oh, Miss Walker.
Yes.
Yes. Would you like to speak?
Oh yeah, I put in the chat to Matt, sorry, if we could take nominations on the floor by any chance. And in response to Constantine about, are there any, there are any Black or African American people on the panel? And I personally know that, there's been a lot going on, and a lot of us in the Black community have been inundated with, there's been a lot going on. So I know for me personally, I may have missed that email, but I was just wondering if that is an option, just asking to take nominations on the floor. That's all.
So in the past, I'm trying to think of in the past practice, have we taken nominations from the floor? I guess we have, I think, but yeah, so if we were going to do that, we would have to start this again. The hard thing is that the person hasn't written a statement. Yeah, it would be nice if we had everyone present who was on this to give their statements. So I'm not sure. So is John, is John here?
There's another hand also.
Yes. Well, is it by the rules is it okay?
John,
I guess through rules to be able to stop this and then take nominations from the floor.
The parliamentarian statement is that not having a statement wouldn't be a problem, but we already voted. What we would do is just start the voting again.
I guess there would have to be a motion, right? And then a vote for,
yeah, there are 3 hands up right now. Talene,
okay, so let me see whose hands up. Talene, sorry.
Colleen.
What was that? Miss
Colleen.
Talene Seropian?
Yes, I was wondering, in light of what we've learned, is it either possible to put the, to nominate from the floor as Armia mentioned, or to start the process over by asking the campus community, the faculty again for nominations? And I would argue making it very clear why, to be as transparent as possible, as this is important. So I'm not really sure at what point, what's the procedure, but there's also that opportunity to throw it out to the entire campus again.
There's actually not. Can I?
Yeah, I think we're on a timeline. So it would be hard to go. We're supposed to give committee members by after this meeting because
Right.
they've already planned to start meeting, and we need to get the committee together so there is a hiring. So I think to throw it out to the community again would not necessarily be the way to go.
Got it. But then it is possible to put it out to this.
It would have to be motioned.
I motion.
Okay.
And I'll second the motion. This is Lindsay Ruiz.
So so you're motioning to cancel this?
To cancel the current vote that was put out and to ask if there are any nominees that represent the Black African American community and to restart the vote in light of what we've learned.
Okay, and then
I second that. Lindsay
Ruiz.
Ruiz.
A second.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I know that there's more hands up here. So I think that we can have discussion on this motion, and then we would have to take a roll call on it. So I see that Dr. Z. Bernardo, your hand was up.
Yes, hi, I'm sorry. I'm just wanting to second or third or fourth the notion by Mr. Constantine and Ms. Seropian and others being concerned about there being a lack of diversity or representation by the African American or Black community or on these people. And I would also, I guess, third the motion to, is it possible for anyone in this committee now to volunteer? Is it possible to get volunteers right now?
Well, first we'd have to vote on this motion, and then
right.
If it passes, then
okay,
we would
sure.
be making a motion to take volunteers.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Anthony Francoso.
I agree. We should reopen it and we should reconsider folks. And if folks want to nominate themselves, or we can nominate them now, that would be stupendous. Thank you.
Okay, and then Ms. Lindsay Ruiz.
Sorry, I'm just, yeah, I'm motion seconding everything. I think we should encourage anybody who would like to join now to encourage. And then can we do the vote now? Can we adjust the Google Doc now to add those names and then redo the vote now? Thank you.
That's okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Carmen Stevens.
I agree. I think we should revote. So I also agree.
Okay. And then Miss Armia Walker.
Oh, yes. I was just wondering, are we nominating people or are they nominating themselves?
We have to take an actual vote to see if we cancel, and then we'll be discussing that. So I think since we've heard grand support for this, we should take a roll call vote to see if everyone's in agreement with the motion. And the motion was to disregard this vote and come up with a way for nominations from the floor and then take a revote.
I think we can go unanimous consent.
Oh, you think we can do unanimous consent?
Unless there are any objections.
Okay, I guess we can go unanimous consent unless there's objections to this. If you have objections, then now would be your time to speak or raise your hand. Okay, so I am seeing no objections to this. So, so we will invalidate that.
I'm working with the Google form. Go ahead.
Okay, and so I guess that then the next thing would be, how would we take nominations to include on this hiring form? So I guess it could be self-nomination or nomination by someone else. I think either would be appropriate.
There's a hand up.
I know, I'm not seeing it. Okay, Professor Constantine Baville.
Yeah, just wanted to confirm that only full-time faculty are allowed to sit on the committee, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Dr. Anthony Francoso.
So can I nominate somebody now?
Yes.
Can I nominate Dr. Gina Lopez?
Okay. So I guess so I think the person who's being nominated needs to agree to the nomination. So
I accept.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Francoso.
Okay. Professor Constantine Beville.
Yes, and I would like to nominate Professor Armia Walker.
Okay. So we're going to add Armia Walker. Do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. So Professor Armia Walker will be added. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Just looking for names. I do not see anyone else. So I think that that is all of our nominations from the floor. So we have now, I will show you what our, just so you can see that our Google Sheet has been updated. So here's our updated version. So it still will read the same. The only thing that's different is we have added.
Can I also, I'm so sorry.
Okay, yes.
May I also nominate Dr. Carmen Stevens? Is she here?
Is
Dr. Carmen Stevens.
Is Dr. Stevens here?
Perhaps not. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, I think we'll go with this then. So we've added.
I think it's important to point out that folks also have to be EEO trained.
Oh, that's true. So I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder. Armia and Gina, are you both EEO trained?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So the Google Sheet has been, we have added Professor Gina Lopez and Professor Armia Walker. And so now you can see that our responses, we have 0 responses. So now I will again stop the share. And we have put the new link onto the chat so you can begin your votes once I turn it on. So I have turned on the Google survey so you can vote for 3 faculty representatives for the Vice President Hiring Committee. Okay, we're at 9 responses now. 15, 18, 20, 22, 24, 25, and how many are we looking for?
Maybe if all Senate reps click yes
25.
window, then we'll know how many we're looking for.
Can the Senate reps all press yes on your? So I have 17 who said yes, but we have 29 votes.
I see I counted. I think I see about 29 people, maybe 30.
Okay. So everyone, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to vote, and then I'll start calculating. Okay. Should I show the results then? So I think that we can show the results now. It seems to be 29, 30. So you guys can see, so I'm going to count these quickly. Anthony Francoso got 15 for Anthony Francoso. Jeffrey Winter got 2. Jennifer Feebig got 4. Catherine Nye got 3. Linda Hinsman got 8. Matt Hennis got 4, 6, 10. Katie Rodriguez got 2, 3, 7. Gina Lopez got 23. And Armia Walker got 5, 10, 17. So it looks like our 3 representatives for this committee will be Gina Lopez, Armia Walker, and Anthony Francoso. Thank you for.
So we need to approve that. It can either be a roll call or unanimous consent, but we'll call that a poll, and this would be the confirming vote.
Okay, so we're going to do a roll call on confirming this vote. So are we going to do a roll call for the confirmation, or do we want to do it as a unanimous consent?
Nobody objects. Unanimous consent.
If no one objects, then we'll take it as a unanimous consent that those 3 will be our representatives on the Vice President Hiring Committee. It seems like there is no one speaking up, so they will be our representatives. Thank you, guys. I'm going to hand it back to Matt.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for participating there. And good work to those of you who are on the committee. Look forward to seeing what results. Next up, do we have a guided pathways standing agenda item report?
Yeah, it'll be quick. Hi, everybody. Just wanted to follow up on the Career Community Social Justice Conference. We had about 700 unique attendees for the 3 days. And the keynote's been viewed by almost 300 people on YouTube alone since the conference. It's posted on YouTube, and we'll post all the rest of the videos in the upcoming weeks. The working group is deciding on this year's action items for each of our pillars. Some of that includes embedding the work into the college's infrastructure. So we're working with the IEC on embedding program maps, for example, into the program review process. And the program mapping team is making the rounds to various faculty to clean up those maps and working on a plan for part-time maps. And that's my report.
Okay, next up, the agenda item, Because Black Lives Matter. This time is a chance for Senate representatives to share out what's going on in their areas. So I do have a report from English, although if there is an English representative, you can let us know what happened at your division retreat. Otherwise, anybody else from across the camp, I believe we should be hearing from somebody in math. I see your physical hand up, so I'll go with Professor Nordstrom. You're looking for a participant window and a little blue hand, but you're good. Just go ahead and unmute yourself.
Right now? Yep.
Yep.
So this is from math that several members of the math division participated in the summer book club. They read How to Be an Anti-Racist. And from that group, they wanted to tie what they were learning to the chancellor's action plan. And so currently the Math and Computer Science Division is working with institutional effectiveness to create and implement a climate survey that will be specifically within our division, not just in classes, but in offices in the Math Success Center. And climate in the sense of like asking how you were treated and things like that. The intention is to have a quantitative and qualitative component and use those results to inform our colleagues, us, the Math Division. We're also working on building faculty skills around a warm handoff, helping faculty, working with, I guess, classified staff in creating professional development for the faculty in our division to refer students to services more effectively. And then we're continuing to meet regularly, at least 2 or 3 times a semester on these things, implementing what I've just mentioned and have ongoing conversations and brainstorm more concrete ideas.
Cool.
Thank you.
Does anybody else want to chime in? While you're thinking about that, I will let you know what I received from our English representative, one of our English representatives. Their fall retreat, boy, this must have been some day. Their fall retreat was innovation amidst disruption in the future of PCC. There were 4 panels. And the titles of the panels were things like anti-racist teaching, strategies for making whiteness visible in the English classroom, the futures of the academy, crisis, transformation, and Afro-pessimism, transformative educational praxis, and pro-Black classrooms. So I would say, I don't have any summaries of what was presented, but just from those titles alone, I'd say English is jumping in with both feet. Anybody else from across the campus here? I'm not going to try to interpret that. I was going to try to put a positive spin, but I don't want to gloss over anything. We will continue this conversation. We'll continue this agenda item. And if you have things to report out from your areas, shoot them my way so I know to include them for as far as timing is concerned. Speaking of timing, we do need to get on with the rest of our agenda, and we will do so now. Professor Shediak. So first I want to introduce Kimberly Shediak. She's a faculty member in the BET, Business Engineering and Technology Division. And prior to us even knowing that we were going to go remote, this individual emailed me a long, detailed, well-researched argument for why students, as part of faculty evaluation, should be able to complete their evaluations of their instructors online. And so I carried that information to a couple of folks and said, hey, can we get this going on? And now all evaluations, the current term, are going to be online, but what she's about to tell you is the project that's moving forward for implementation next year. And take it away.
Thank you, Matt. Yes, so I'm very excited that we are working on some new online evaluations that would be effective starting next fall, as Matt just mentioned. So right now, myself and Jeffrey Winter, Thea Alvarado, and Stephanie Fleming, we're all looking at the current evaluation that we've been using for several years and gathering feedback. And we plan to gather feedback from each division, from division chairs. We would also like to get feedback from associated students. And basically what we're trying to do is redo the evaluation form overall, which will of course then still be online. And some of the changes we're looking at making are of course making it just a lot more streamlined, a lot more student friendly, being more mindful of perhaps different languages and language barriers that the current form may have. Also, really being very clear about questions related to the course versus the instructor. The current questions, there is some overlap and some questions are a little bit confusing. So we really want to streamline this, make it much more student friendly, and really have a process in place. So not only are we looking at the form, but also really how it's delivered and how we can really market the survey in Canvas and through the instructors in order to really get students to complete the survey as well. So really trying to integrate a much more, technological approach to the student surveys and redoing the questions. And again, this would be effective starting next fall. We don't have too much information yet. We just started this project last week, but over the coming weeks, I do plan to have more information. And again, we do plan to gather feedback from across our community as well in order to make this really just a new and better and much more effective version for students and for faculty and for the college overall.
Cool. And you're bringing this as information now, but then what your committee comes up with will be presented to the Senate for, will it be presented for approval and input down the road?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So as of now, this is just an information item that this project is underway, but I will have more concrete information to present and for approval down the road.
Thank you very much. And I gotta say, folks, Professor Shediak was kind enough to share with me some of what the community's been, hashing out so far. And it seems like, why are we using educational jargon in these questions for students? This thing is biased here. It's really a thoughtful approach, and I hope that you appreciate what comes down the pipe. Does anybody have any questions for Professor Shediak? Okay, cool. Professor Francoso.
Yeah, I'm sorry if I missed this, but if all the online student evaluation, if all the student evaluations go online, is there still going to be an opportunity for students to do the student evaluations in class, or is it all going online?
You mean after, when things return to normal?
Yeah.
Professor Shediak, do you have any?
Good question. So what we're looking at now is to still have it be online even when we're in the classroom, just for the sheer fact that then students could pull out their Canvas app on their phone or be on their laptop and just take it right then and there in the classroom, as opposed to someone coming in with a physical piece of paper in order to administer it that way. So that way faculty could actually administer it in their own classroom by directing their students to, hey, everybody take out your phone, log into your Canvas app, take these last 15 minutes of class to take this evaluation. So that makes it a little bit more efficient for faculty to administer it in their own class, also without the faculty seeing it. And and if there are any, challenges related to that, please let me know as we move forward with the process and as we gather feedback, and we can certainly discuss solutions, both short-term and long-term.
I want to jump in and say, I've also heard about the idea of bringing maybe carts of iPads to the classroom for students who don't have that technology. I could see it in your face, Dr. Francoso. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Professor Rodriguez.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, is there something that we can do? I mean, I've taught online for a long time, and last time I was evaluated, a lot of my students didn't bother doing the online evaluation. So it was hard to really get good feedback. So is there a way that when they log into Canvas, it's a pop-up or something that they have to complete before, or at least acknowledge I don't want to do it before they move on?
Yes, great question. Yes, so in the past, that's been a challenge to where really the evaluation just appeared on the left menu, but there was really no communication for students to even know that. So what we're looking at doing is also, how are we going to be marketing the evaluations? So we will come up with announcements that you can easily copy and paste within your courses and that you can email to students. We're looking at some clever ways that we could potentially get students' attention in order to take the evaluations. And we're also considering different ways that we could perhaps incentivize students. Not things such as extra credit, but we're looking at, are there other ways that we could incentivize them, such as one idea that's been brought to the table that, we aren't sure the feasibility of it, but we've heard that some colleges release grades earlier for students who had completed the survey. So that's just an idea. So just putting it out there that between different ways that we can incentivize them and ways that we can provide all of the instructors with tools to market the evaluation and to get the information out there for them. For example, we may come up with, a video that you could all share in an announcement that will be something fun and informational to get students to even look at the survey. Also, how it's worded. For example, we all know what it's like to, get surveys and we aren't sure maybe how long they are or how long it will take us. And we're much less likely to complete something if we don't know that. So from a marketing standpoint, even the wording to say, this survey should take you 10 to 15 minutes. It's, 13 questions, having a progress bar so that they can see once they've completed 5 questions, they're 50% done. So things like that can really help incentivize students to, first of all, open it and then to take it and then also to complete it.
I know we're running low on time here, but Professor Bauer.
Yeah, I just had a quick question. Is there evidence to suggest that the participation will go up if we switch over to taking evaluations online as opposed to in person?
I don't have any evidence that I can quote as of yet. That's definitely part of the research that I've been doing from even just a standpoint of attendance, for students to be able to take it online versus if they missed that class period where it was administered in class, then obviously they would have missed even being able to complete that survey. So having it be more than just that one-shot deal. For example, when it's online, it's typically open for a week or two so that students can actually take it as opposed to just that one class period, whereas, if you missed it, then you're out of luck. So that's just one example.
Okay. And in your well-researched proposal, how many sheets of paper, do you remember? Was it how many thousand?
Oh, it was like over 30,000. It was
30,000 sheets of paper required each term when these evaluations are done by hand or on paper. So that's something we're working with as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, this will be the last comment or question, Professor Walker.
Yes, are we stuck on providing incentives, because that could be a problem given the power dynamic between the student and the instructor. I don't know if incentives are the way to go.
Right, and that's a great point. And no, we certainly don't have to. We just want to make sure we have a list of all available options in case instructors decide to use them. But you certainly won't have to provide any specific incentives.
Oh, I was told we have 1 minute, so I guess we weren't done. Dr. Stevens?
Okay, hello, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I just wanted to say with the incentives, if there is going to be incentives, kind of like how you were saying about when it was in person, the students would get like the 15 minutes of class time to complete the survey, even if it's really short. I'm noticing a lot of students do not want to participate or do stuff that's not grade related or required. So in some ways, an incentive may be beneficial as far as if there's time allotted, you know what I mean, within the class material, if that makes sense. So one less chapter of reading or something of that nature, not exactly that, but something of that nature.
Sure, and that's a great idea. That's a great idea. I really like that. And also on that note, if it's, for example, something where you have online synchronous hours, you could do that same thing that you could do in class, to where maybe we meet, online from 2 to 4, and we say, during these last 15 minutes of our synchronous hours, you can go and take the survey now. So yeah, lots of different ideas. I really appreciate the feedback.
So I'm going to call it quits on that because we are out of time, but thank you, Professor Shedek. I really appreciate it. And so, Senate representatives, this is going to come to us for to really kick around and discuss and provide feedback down the road. This was intended to be informational. And then I think that a point of interest was raised. And so folks wanted to chime in, but please be aware, this will come up again. We will have a chance to talk about this. Thank you again. Next up is, I'm mindful of the time, and the reason, folks, is because the individual who's responsible for getting us up on YouTube, I want to respect her time. I want to respect y'all's time. We schedule these meetings from 3 to 5, and I do try to, plan the agenda accordingly. It's a little tough sometimes for me to guess what's going to cause a lot of interest and feedback, but I'm really trying to keep us on track. The reason being, if I don't, then I'm going to have to schedule additional meetings. That's what I'm trying to avoid when I move us through things. Having said that, if we just need to take the time to talk about stuff, we will schedule additional meetings to give things the time that they need. Having said that, we will move on to AP 7250 manager evaluations follow-up. This has been a tremendous learning process for me. I will let you know, I did what I know now and didn't at the time was that the 140 plus slots that we filled, there were 148, I believe, slots that we filled to evaluate managers, those were recommendations. We supplied 8 names to HR. The managers to be evaluated also supplied 8 names of their own. In all, 10 people are to evaluate each manager. And so that list was finalized by the manager's supervisor. So if it's your dean, if you're in instructional division, it was Dr. Junie in conjunction with the employee. If you are in student services, that manager would have worked with Dr. Olivo. If it is Dr. Junie or Dr. Olivo, then that would fall on Dr. Androgenis' shoulders. And I responded to several emails of folks saying, I didn't get on the list, what's going on? This seems a little bit shady. Why do they get to pick their evaluators? We get to pick our evaluators too. One person on our team, according to our contract, the currently in place contract, one person on our evaluation team as faculty members is to be mutually agreed upon by the employee and the dean. So it's a similar thing. The point here is not everybody whose name we submitted is one of the people who gets to evaluate the manager. I wasn't aware that that was a recommendation at the time. This is the first time that I followed the AP or tried to. And the fact is, in the AP, it doesn't say what happens to the 8 names. It says the Academic Senate will supply 8 names and then it moves on. That's just something that, that says that the AP needs to be revised. Are there any questions on that? Okay, I mean, just I'm not done with this topic yet. Everyone's like, no, 5 o'clock, we have no questions. I had 2 conversations, one with Bob Blazinski, Vice President of Human Resources, and one with Dr. Androgenis. And there was a concern raised last meeting that I said that they weren't following the AP, which was true. Hadn't been followed since 2017. In 2017, they found some logistical issues with the AP, and that was under a different college president. I was supposed to get the list, or the Academic Senate was supposed to get the list of managers in spring. I asked both Dr. Blazinski and Dr. Androgenis, was it intentional that the Academic Senate did not weigh in, did not provide names, was not asked to provide names? They both said no. Evaluating managers are supposed to be evaluated every year, but every 3 years, 1/3 of the managers are to undergo a 360 evaluation. It's like 360 degrees all the way around. And that's the one that includes faculty filling out the online questionnaire evaluation thing. It hadn't been done in a couple of years, and it was like, we're not going to do 1/3 of everybody, we're going to do everybody. And this year was kind of like a Band-Aid. Just not trying to identify 1/3, we're going to evaluate all the managers. And then both Dr. Blazinski and Dr. Androgenis said that not asking the Senate was something that fell through the cracks. It wasn't an intentional choice. No decision was made in a back room, smoke-filled, haha, let's leave them out. This is how it was presented to me that that did not happen. I asked them both, why didn't I get the list in spring? They both basically looked at me, 2 different meetings. They both basically looked at me and was like, they were like, are you serious? It was spring, 2020. We were trying to keep the college open. I'm willing to let that be what it is. It would have been Dr. Androgenis' first round in 2018. She was new to the college. Dr. Blazinski was fairly new to the college at the time as well. I would like to point out the very first time I asked Dr. Blazinski if the Academic Senate can give names, he said yes. I'd been working with a different vice president before, and then I realized, wait a minute, this is HR. I should be talking to HR. So he never put me off. He never suggested, no, this isn't going to happen. The very first time I asked him, he said yes. I just asked him, not in spring, for what all of that is worth. Moving forward, the intent is to follow the AP to the best of their ability, which means I expect to get names of managers in spring who are to be evaluated next year. I'm told time is up, but if anybody has any questions, now is the time. Oh, and if you're on that list and you're getting the reminder emails every day, read the email. There's a link, you can click it, it'll stop reminding you. Okay, managers don't get that. Only faculty can opt out of the reminders. Or just complete the evaluations. Okay, next. Unfinished business, we have Academic Senate goals. Folks, this was tough. I didn't know what to bring in today. And so I decided to go back to what we had before. I will tell you what some of my thought process was. We talked before about, well, I don't want to get out of order here. What I would like to do is first ask, so this is mostly the list that we saw last time. There is an addition. It's because I went back and reread Professor Jaramillo's notes from, the faculty evaluation, they're due like mid-October. And Dr. Jaramillo did include a note from one of the Senate representatives to develop an anti-racist policy. And so I added that to this list. We got on track, and I see the hand up right now, but I'm gonna hold you off for just a moment. We got on track. We got really hung up on this particular goal here. We didn't talk about any of the other goals. And my goal now, to overuse the word goal, is I'd like to come away from today's meeting with these goals in place. I don't mean these goals verbatim as they are now, with our goals in place. That's what I would like to do. The rest of the stuff on our agenda is going to take like 30 minutes. It's 4:20, letting you know. First off, does anybody have any comments or concerns regarding increasing our knowledge about how student service, I think, is increase our knowledge? That this came from one of you, so maybe you can clarify. Increased knowledge about how student services supports our students. We are largely instructional faculty. Student services faculty want us to know they support our students too. We all know they do, but the ways in which they support our students. So does anybody have any clarifying language that they'd like to recommend for this particular goal? Does anybody have any concerns about this particular goal? Professor Nordstrom.
So were you going to add our, and when you say knowledge, do you mean faculty or teaching faculty or like?
Okay, I'm not going to add our, I was going to, but I decided it's not just us, it's our constituents as well. Right, so how about increased knowledge among the faculty? About how student services supports our students. Okay. Idea being that translates to, if you know more, you can tell your students more, right? Next up. Now I was careful when I worded this. I'm not telling you I'm married to the language, but I'm telling you I was intentional about how I worded this. Explore how we can overcome PCC's poor reputation among the Black community and work with campus stakeholders to develop a plan to increase our African-American student population. Now, what happened last time was we got into a discussion about percentages. I personally think it's premature to start to set percentages. I'll tell you, I'll give you another view as well. Our purview is the 10+1. 10+1 does not include enrollment management. The Strategic Planning Committee used to be 2 different committees, one of which was enrollment management. So developing a plan with stakeholders, it's got to be a campus-wide effort. I'd like the Senate to buy in on it, but it's got to be a campus-wide effort. Okay. And for reference, this is our 10+1. Okay. Our purview is curriculum, degree and certificate requirements, grading policies, program development, standards or policies regarding student preparation and success, governance structures related to faculty, faculty roles and accreditation, policies for professional development, program review, institutional planning and budget development. That's our 10+1. I really need us to anchor our goals in the 10+1. I thought I was sharing all that just now, but I forgot. I missed something. So now, having said all that, I see Professor Constantine hand is up. Go ahead.
Yes, hi everyone. As a faculty member who sort of introduced this goal, I think it is important that we have a percentage attached to it. I originally had said 15% was the goal. Then we had some conversation in the Senate with Professor Walker and so forth. And I think we agreed that 10% is a more realistic number. But I fear if we do not include a percentage, we have nothing to gauge our success after the year. And the 3.8% that we're currently at, in my opinion, is simply not acceptable. So I would encourage us to include a percentage, and I think 10% is something reasonable that we can work towards. I'm not saying that we're going to achieve it before 2021. I just saw a report from Dr. Olivo that we processed 30,000 applications. So I'm hoping within those 30,000 applications that we can get a percentage of African-American students at PCC to at least 10% by 2021. Some people may think it's unrealistic, but many things in the US have been unrealistic until we address them. And if we have the support of the PCC Foundation, the support of the Board of Trustees, I know, Matt, you're saying that it's not part of the 10+1, but maybe then we need to revisit our 10+1.
The 10+1 are codified in state law.
Enrollment is something that affects our campus goals.
I understand that, but our purview doesn't include enrollment management, and it's a state law. I thank you for chiming in. I do see some other hands up. Dr. Stevens.
Appreciate it.
I guess just to speak to a little bit of what was spoken to already, instead of looking about the amount of people that are enrolling, right, because it's not under our purview, and our thing is more of the degrees that's offered, right, certificates, classes, grades. Can we look more at the percentage of Black and African American students that are leaving PCC, graduating, passing classes, supports that's needed for things of that nature? Would that be more under our purview? Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. And part of what we're going to do this semester is look at our student equity plan, specifically as it relates to our African American and Black students. But you bring up a point that I wanted to mention as well. Again, I thought long and hard about this one here because of the conversation that we had. Folks, we have a campus right now that is underserving our Black and African American students. Our Black and African American students are passing our courses and earning degrees at rates lower than our other student populations. So is this the environment that we want to bring students into? I think that there are a lot of things that we need to look at, and developing a plan, I think, as far as knowing whether we're effective, if we have a plan, that would achieve this goal, and then start to put that plan into place, right? So I just wanted to put that out there. Professor Rose.
Thank you, Matt. I'm really echoing the same points, that what is within our purview is what happens in the classroom, and that relates to retention, success, and persistence for our Black and African American students. And I agree with the point that we don't necessarily want to bring more in for them to not experience success. And so what we should dedicate ourselves to is inquiry and implementing practices that have been proven to improve outcomes for our Black and African American students.
Thank you. Professor Walker.
So I am faculty, so I'm in the classroom, but I also take interest in getting more Black students to campus. And I know that's not in our purview, but I feel like we should develop something, even if it's in partnering with recruitment, partnering with, for example, Tamika Alexander, some kind of way to maybe engage the current Black faculty and staff, Black faculty, full-time and adjunct, to be the face or to reach out. I still believe that we can contribute in some kind of way, even though that is not our, under our parameters or whatever. I still would like to be involved, and I'm more than willing to serve on whatever committee that is, because I still think we have a responsibility, because students are with instructors more than anyone else on campus. The majority of their time is spent with us, and we play a heavy role. And I just want us to be involved in increasing the amount of Black students in some kind of way. Like I said, even if it's in a publication or some type of video message to students, just so they can see that they are wanted here. It is a big deal to be wanted in the Black community. And I think we should play some kind of part in that, even though we can't control, enrollment and all of that. I still think we play a part.
Agreed. And you're really underscoring a point that I'm really trying to make, which is we work in partnership with the rest of the campus. And a partnership is, I think, in order, right? I'm told that we are out of time. If somebody would like to extend, it's up to you.
I move to extend by 5 minutes.
I second that. Lindsay Ruiz.
5 minutes. Moved by Professor Lopez, seconded by Professor Ruiz. Unless there are objections, we will approve that extension by unanimous consent, 5 minutes. Seeing no new hands up. I'm going to go to someone we haven't heard from yet, because we can hear from somebody a second time after everybody who wishes to speak has spoken. Actually, before I call on you, I will let you know somebody is having difficulty with a microphone, and so I need to read it. It is Dr. Bernardo. Had a student who wanted to be an incoming freshman, never before in college, asked for help to get her classes planned for the fall, never heard back. Happens to be an African-American student or prospective student. Feels like nobody helped her, nobody cares about her questions. This is exactly what I want to explore. What is going on, right? Why do we have a poor reputation? How can we improve that reputation? How can we improve outcomes? Professor Ruiz.
I would just like to echo the sentiments that, I know we have lines and responsibilities and boundaries, but as faculty, as Senate, we do have influence. And so I think that it's important to use that where we can, in order to encourage the entire campus, not only to support, but also to enroll more Black students. And so I think that there's lots of ways that I don't have the answers for how that would look in Senate, but I do think it is, and I think I'm just echoing what others have said, but that's what I want to do. I want to echo that I think it is something we need to discuss. And as much as I hate to add committees to our long list of committee lists, and I don't know if a committee is the best thing right now, but some dedicated efforts to figuring out the ways that Senate can do that, I think is important.
Well, I'm really good friends with the faculty co-chair of the Strategic Planning Committee.
Okay.
I feel you. Professor Constantine.
I'll allow someone who hasn't spoken yet.
There are no other hands up. I do appreciate though.
So does this mean that we cannot have the percentage as part of the goal?
It is up to you. I gave you reasons why I think, I gave you my, what I had in mind when I brought these in here. If you want to talk percentages, I can show you a map of our region and demographic statistics to help inform the percentages.
Can I make a motion to include the 3.8 to 10% as originally in the last document? And then we could take it to a vote?
You can move and somebody can second. If there's a second, then.
I second that.
Who was that? Whose voice? Oh, Dr. Stevens. Okay, so moved by Professor Constantine, seconded by Professor Stevens to include 10%. Now, what I have here is I did a lot of research. These are the cities. This circle here represents about 20 miles from a center of Pasadena City College. This green right here is roughly PCC's district. We pull students from various areas. I can show you some of the heat maps, but what I want to show you is that in all of these cities, the blue ones here are the ones that have an African-American proportion that's more than our PCC student population. The ones in pink are cities that have a proportion of African-American residents that are less than the population of African-American students at PCC. There are about 40,000 folks in Altadena. There are 140,000 in Pasadena. I forget how many million, 7 million or something in Los Angeles. So the motion on the floor is to attach a percentage. The motion on the floor is to say from 3.8% to 10%. Professor Wilbur.
I wonder if this isn't part of it, or if we don't already do this. Do we not already make pointed recruitment efforts at all local high schools anyway to increase our visibility? Are we not going to Altadena, Pasadena, Monrovia, Arcadia anyway, and making sure that the guidance counselors at those schools are making sure that their students are aware that PCC is a viable option, especially in our local schools?
Okay, the answer to that is I don't know. What I do know is that we have enrollment agreement, dual enrollment agreements with most, if not all, of our feeder districts, high school districts, right? But right now, folks, I want you to be aware that we're starting to talk about solutions. We're starting to talk about the plan. I would like to come away from this meeting with a set of goals that the Senate's going to work on for the year. We're not going to solve them right now. We're not going to develop the plan right now. The motion on the floor is to say to increase from 3.9% to 10%. Does anybody have a comment or question related to the motion on the floor? Okay, then Professor Lopez, we're going to go with a roll call vote on this.
Okay. Richard Allen. Can we, I'm sorry, Dr. Hennis, whoops. My question is, can you have the alternates who are representing their department right now raise their hand so that I don't have to call them again?
Yep. Katie Rodriguez. Raylene Garcia.
That's it? Rodriguez and Garcia, thank you.
Looks like it, thank you.
Okay, and the yay is to increase, the nay is, or to increase to 10%, and the nay is to not?
The yay is to include percentages, and the nay is not to include percentages.
Thank you.
Yes.
Richard Allen.
No.
Excuse me, I have a question.
We've started voting. What is the question?
Are we including a specific number in the percentage, or is only to include percentage?
It's to include, it's to say from 3.8% to 10%. So we are including a specific number, 2 of them. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry if that sounded harsh. I just feel pressed for time. I apologize for the tone.
Susan Bauer,
No.
Eduardo Caro, Israel Castro,
Yes.
Chafee,
Garcia is in place of him.
okay, thank you. Garcia,
No.
Constantine,
Yes.
Indoor, Feebig,
No.
Foster,
Rodriguez is here for Foster.
okay. Then I'll get to her shortly. Francoso,
Yes.
Garson, Jaramillo,
No.
Jerome,
No, not at this time.
Larson,
Yes.
Leon,
Yes.
Lopez, yes. Luck,
Yes.
Milnaric, Nordstrom,
No.
O'Leary, Pierce,
Yes.
Rigon,
Yes.
Rodriguez Blanca, Rodriguez Katie,
No.
Rose,
Yes.
Yes.
Reese, Seropian,
Yes.
Simon,
No.
Stevens,
Yes.
Stoddard, Swaminathan, Vendresco,
Yes.
Vinto, Walker,
Yes.
Wilbur,
No.
Winter.
No.
I'll need just a moment to tally the vote. $15 yeses, 11 noes. The yeses have it.
Motion carries. That's the way these goals will look the next time we bring them. I was hoping to finish this meeting, but we have to move on with the agenda. So we will revisit the goals discussion next time. And we are moving on to, I'm actually going to go just briefly out of order here so that the two things for which Dr. Alvarado is here will occur one after the other. And I'm going to go to, is this the one I want? There it is. the Associate Vice President of Technology, Candace Jones, excuse me, my words are escaping me here. BP 3720, computer and network use. This is being brought because it is the board policy. It is separate from the administrative procedure that we all talked about last time. I will accept responsibility for not having those as two separate agenda items. Let me put in front of you what the board policy is. And while I'm doing that, Vice President Jones, did you want to say anything? Are you here?
I am.
Oh, good. I'm glad you're still here.
Okay, guys, the addition to the BP is really adding in the rights and responsibilities section. Currently in the current BP, there's academic freedom and freedom of expression. The addition there is the rights and responsibilities of academic freedom, freedom of expression. The addition is and ethical behavior applied to the use of college computing and voice transmission resources. And the reason why the ethical behavior addition was added is because then there's a new sentence that says employees of PACCD should act in accordance with their respective professional ethics procedures.
So this bold, thank you for doing that while I was getting this set up.
No problem.
This bold statement here.
Yes, sir.
And this bold statement here are the two proposed additions to BP 3720 as it relates to computer and network use. Can I have a motion to approve BP 3720?
Motion to approve. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so that's moved by Professor Jaramillo and seconded by Professor Ruiz. If I heard his voice.
Yes, that's fine.
I nailed it. All right.
Yes.
I just want you all to take a moment to realize that I just did that.
That was awesome.
Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion on BP 3720? Yeah, no, just so you know, folks, the next page here is the next item on the agenda. This is the BP. We're not hiding anything from you. So is there any discussion about the addition of these two statements or two portions in bold? Okay, Professor Winter, your hand is up. Were you trying to move or second, or do you have a comment?
I was trying to second, so.
Gotcha. Well, evidently everybody got beaten on that. Okay, if there is no discussion, then is unanimous consent okay with you, Vice President Jones, or do you need a vote? Unanimous consent works? You know, she's nodding, folks, she's nodding. Okay, if there are no objections, we will approve BP 3720 by unanimous consent. If there are any objections, please let it be known now. That motion carries, the BP is approved, and then we'll be back with an AP down the road. Thanks for sticking around, I really appreciate it. And a while ago, Professor Alvarado showed up, and we are going to now move on to our agenda items that relate to, oh, this isn't going to help you at all, that relate to, I'm going to mute you, and then we're going to try that again. If you were trying to speak just now, Professor Alvarado, there's something wrong with your mic. I'll just leave the screen. I'll just stop sharing. Here we go. So if you'd like to unmute yourself, go ahead. But we are here for a second read for the Accreditation Institutional Self-Evaluation Report. Those of you who read the 240 plus page document, does anybody, before I get to this, Professor Alvarado, do you have anything that you'd like to say to introduce the topic, or are we ready? What do you want?
I think we're ready to go. If anyone has any questions for me to clarify, I'm happy to do that.
Okay, we'll do that after we have a motion on the floor so we can follow Robert's rules on this one. So can I have a motion to, I'm going to say endorse. Is that an okay verb?
Sure.
Okay. For the Academic Senate to endorse the institutional self-evaluation report. Can I have a motion?
I'd like to move to endorse the report.
Cool. And then I saw another hand up, Professor Fiebig.
And I second that.
I'll take you as a second. So moved by Professor Winter, seconded by Professor Fiebig. Does anybody have any discussion about the ICER? Professor Nordstrom.
Yeah, is it just one quick comment? Is there any reason why you use 3D pie charts? Tip them to which, as a mathematician?
I'm feeling that came from the Office of Institutional Effectiveness, but Professor Alvarado, can you speak to that?
I can't. I'm afraid that was Crystal's doing out of her office. But I think that followed a template and the models that we had seen from other community colleges.
Because it really distorts the whole proportion and percentage and can be somewhat misleading.
I will definitely pass that feedback along.
Thank you.
And I will as well, as a mathematician. Thanks. Any other comments, questions, concerns regarding the ICER? All right. Does unanimous consent work for you, Professor Alvarado, or do you want a roll call vote?
Unanimous would be lovely.
Oh, well, I agree. If there are no objections to endorsing, I think is the verb that I suggested, the ICER, then we will approve it by unanimous consent. Are there any objections to so doing? Professor Alvarado, the Academic Senate unanimously endorses the report. Next agenda item is still going to be presented by Dr. Alvarado, and it is the accreditation quality focused essay. Can you let us know what that means? But first I'll say this is number 2, not because you missed number 1, but because they were numbered and then they were presented. And they're being presented out of order. You haven't missed anything. Stay tuned to an Academic Senate meeting near you. Take it away, Professor Alvarado.
So the quality focused essays, and there are 2 of them, is an additional item that we're interested in exploring as a college. It is not technically considered part of the ICER, so it's not part of our accreditation process where we have to meet a standard and we get feedback from the visiting team. It's just an issue that we have as a college have decided to focus on. And so we get a couple of pages limit to specify what the issue is, to give some data and to give an action plan. It doesn't play as much of a role the first time the team comes to visit. It will be more of an issue for our midterm report, but it's only the commission that looks at that report. It's not actually the visiting team that's coming in March.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments regarding this quality focus essay? Any feedback, any input, anything? We were going to bring this for a first read and a second read, but assuming that you've read the thing, if you're ready to move to approve, that would be appropriate now. Otherwise, it'll show up on the next agenda. And I'm not seeing any hands. It doesn't sound like anybody's ready to make a motion at this time. So next time we will see this for a second read. Please look it over, share it with your folks. Let us know if you have any concerns. And this will come back for a second read. And then I expect the quality focused essay number 1 will come for a first read. Boy, that'll be fun to keep track of. Thank you, Dr. Alvarado, for your patience and for the time you spent here. Folks, we have, surprisingly enough, 9 minutes left. Do you want to go back to the Senate goals? see one nod. Okay, so one of the things that this will do is it will preserve the change that we have made today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we did get through all that stuff, much to my surprise. Thanks for working with me on it, folks. Then we're back here at the goals. Just don't tell Robert of Robert's rules that I did this. And John, if you got an issue with this, maybe keep it to yourself for the time being. Okay. So our Senate goals here, we said we didn't object to increasing knowledge about student services. The majority vote was to include percentages, something to work toward. And the next goal is incorporate social justice into our course and institution level SLOs. Does anybody have any objection, comment, concern, question regarding this one? Professor Fiebig.
Yeah, hi. I would like to bring up some information or some terminology that we are using in the Learning Assessment Committee. We are pairing the word equity with social justice. So I would like to see if we could possibly add the word equity, as well as you have into our course. And I would like program and institutional level SLOs. If everybody would be okay with that, because that then pairs with what we are saying in the Learning Assessment Committee.
I don't have a problem with that. Grammatically, does a comma follow a hyphen?
English?
Yes, if it's items in a series. So course, comma, program, dash, comma, and institutional level.
Wait, course, comma, program, dash?
Course, so course, dash,
oh, yeah,
comma.
okay.
Yeah, there you go. And that second comma is optional. It's the Oxford comma. I'm a proponent of it, but you could cut it if you don't like the way that it looks.
I like the Oxford comma.
Okay.
Okay. Now we've learned two things. Equity goes with social justice, and that thing is called the Oxford comma. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Does anybody else have any wordsmithing?
And I also appreciate the inclusion of the word equity. Thank you, Professor Fiebig.
Sure. And in the future, if you raise your hand, I can call on you. I know, you just get so excited. How about the next one? Increase information sharing with campus and academic Senate committees. Any concerns, objections, thoughts on that? Professor Ragone.
Hi, I have a question about the previous goal, and I don't know how specific it is, but are we talking about every course, or is it just left undetermined?
The way it sits now, it's undetermined. I think that's, I'm going to let the one of our faculty accreditation coordinators weigh in, but according to Robert's rules, I got to call on Professor Nordstrom first. Or was yours on the next one?
The next one.
Okay, then if it's okay, I'm going to go back to Professor Fiebig to answer that.
Okay, so when we've been talking in the Learning Assessment Committee, we realize that not every course can accurately or adequately incorporate some of these things into it, but it's just more of a discussion point that if it is possible, we would like to have these things in every course.
So how about if I recommend where possible? And that I'm avoiding the word appropriate because that's subjective, but if it's possible, then this is what this says, right? Now, this is going to be another one of these goals. We're probably not going to achieve it in by 2021, but we're certainly going to start. Okay. Professor Nordstrom now for the next one.
So when we say increase information sharing with the campus and academic Senate committees, are you meaning from us to the committees, or that the committees are sharing with us? What?
I mean, two-way communication. So the College Council,
no, that's not right. Never mind.
College Council Subcommittee, academic Senate appointed representatives on College Council subcommittees are supposed to represent the will of the academic Senate. So they should be checking in with us on items of importance. But at the same time, I think the Academic Senate should know what's going on with the College Council subcommittees, right? So that's why you got 5 reports today. Those are the committees that I'm a part of.
Right.
And then as far as Academic Senate subcommittees, I think also it should go both ways. We should know what they're doing as information, and then where they need input and guidance, we should be able to provide that. So I do mean two-way community. So I chose that word on purpose, just with. If somebody wants clarifying language, that's fine. Professor Luck.
Would it be possible to, instead of using with, use the word between?
Now that would, to me, that would imply between the campus committees and the Academic Senate committees, but not the Academic Senate itself.
Okay.
So how about between the Academic Senate
So yeah, just to include them, then it's even more clear.
and campus and Academic Senate subcommittees?
Matt,
Professor Rose.
if you just made it campus-wide, would that be more clear?
Campus-wide to me sounds like college council committees, and Academic Senate subcommittees are not college-wide committees.
Okay.
Also, I don't want to know what the textbook selection committee is doing in chemistry. I know it's important and valuable work. Professor Ruiz.
Perhaps among would be a better preposition. Between suggests two-way communication, but among would be multiple parties. Is that a better word, perhaps? Among Academic Senate. Well, wait, you didn't have Academic Senate before him. Among campus and Academic Senate committees. So increase information sharing among instead of with campus and Academic Senate committees.
So when you say among, now it sounds to me like the committees themselves need to communicate with each other. And that's not my purview.
You're right, it does have that connotation, it does.
So what I've done is I've said between the Academic Senate and campus-wide committees and between the Academic Senate.
And within the Academic Senate. It's very wordy.
I know, I was trying not to make it.
Sorry.
Words. So why not, right? Now we're, okay. Here's the question. It's wordy. Do we all know what this means? Is it a goal that we should aspire to which we should aspire? Okay. I found this, as I said, in the deep dive. It's 5 p.m. I'm being told in the chat. When I saw the more detailed notes that Professor Haramia, when I reread the notes, I found this one. And all it said was anti-racist policy. I thought maybe the intent was to develop an anti-racist policy, but then the can of worms opened up. Just one, we're going to develop it for us. Is it for us to look at as an Academic Senate board? Is it a policy that we're going to promote among the entire faculty? I don't know. I don't know what the intent is, and I don't know how to, like, what this looks like. But I've got 25, 30 intelligent people out here, and
I have my hand up, Professor Hennis.
I apologize. I was getting grammatical suggestions here.
I actually don't have my hand up, but I can't put it up in the chat, so that's why I'm telling you.
I understand what you meant. Go ahead. Professor Lopez.
I think that this may call for more conversation. Is it possible to table this? It's only one left. Is it possible to table this to the next meeting or another meeting?
It is possible to postpone it to another meeting. I will tell you the agenda is full for that one, which is why I tried to squeeze it in. However,
I don't want to rush through this.
I don't want to give short shrift to something that's important. So
I agree.
Yep. You just don't like raising your hand there.
I don't. I'm sorry. I forgot. I'm tired.
It's okay. Then we are going to you know what? Let's do this. No, we're not. I was going to have us approve the first set. We were all here for it. We know that this is the where we're going to go. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to consider how to word this last thing, whether it's appropriate to include all that sort of stuff. at, again, a Senate meeting near you. With that, we have, so this is, and we don't even have to move to postpone it. Time ran out. Proposed future agenda items. Well, I can think of one. Senate goals. Does anybody have any recommended proposed future agenda items? Professor Constantine and then Professor Ragone.
Yes, I would like to see a discussion of hiring committees.
Yes, that is on our to-do list.
Thank
In
you.
fact, I have like 2 or 3 things that I'd like to bring in regarding hiring committees. It is a future agenda item, most certainly.
Thank you.
Anti-racism policy. So Professor, well, wait, I got to go to Professor Ragone. Oh, you mean instead of anti, oh, sure. Racist, anti-racism. So Professor Ragone.
Yes, I was wondering if we could have a little bit of more, could be a little bit more specific about the last point, the anti-racist policy, so that we can have a productive discussion with my constituents. What should I ask them inputs on specifically?
I don't remember from the notes who brought that up and whether that and I don't know if that person is in the room. Professor Keene, can you just nod? Do you have an answer to that question, or you got something else? Okay, thank you. I don't know. I can't answer that because I don't know what the intent was. I think the committee or the Senate needs to kick it around. Let's say maybe it's develop anti-racism guidelines for the Academic Senate Board, or under which the Academic Senate Board will operate. That's our purview, right? Setting guidelines for ourselves. Maybe take that back to your constituents. And then if it's appropriate, guidelines for the campus. But I'm thinking of it personally in terms of this will be the lens through which we look at policies, procedures, because that's largely what we do. But I don't want to put it in a box.
Thank you.
I'm glad you said thank you, because I don't think I can do any better than that. Professor Keene.
I have 2 movements and I wanted to propose those right now. The second bullet point here, I'd like to narrow that window to the LA County, which is 8.7. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. We're going to revisit the Senate goals.
Oh, you got it.
At a future meeting. So I don't want to rehash that. What we're looking for are, so what you're saying is consider refining the second bullet point when we bring it back as an agenda item in the future.
Correct.
Okay. And then what else you got?
And then I would like to vote from here going forward with everybody in the Senate that we do it by unanimous vote only. No longer any roll call.
Can't do that.
Ouch.
I know.
Okay.
I have to give anybody the opportunity to abstain or to vote no if they so choose. Otherwise, it is a communist vote.
Okay.
I know. I feel you. But people have to be entitled to vote the way they want to vote.
All right.
I totally get it though. Okay. Then announcements. Does anybody have any announcements?
My hand is up.
Oh, Professor Lopez.
Thank you. I wanted to announce once again that the virtual Black Student Success Center is open for business. I put the Zoom information in the chat. I'm doing it again. And please tell your students, there are coaches there available to help them at those hours. And we've been getting some traction. We'd like to see more students so that we can help more students. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. And I know that across the street from PCC at Knox Church, there is food distribution. So the Lancer Pantry is currently meeting at Knox Church Mondays through Thursdays. Thank you, Dr. Oliva. Mondays, excuse me. Oh, the website says Mondays and Thursdays. Maybe that should be fixed. Tuesdays and Thursdays from 9 to 11 a.m. Knox Church across the street from PCC. That's our new food pantry for now. Okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 11, Knox Church across the street. Professor Walker.
I was going to reiterate what Dr. Lopez says. Sorry, she kind of beat me to the punch, but my heart still goes out for that narrative that you put out there where a Black student, no one reached out to them. So I was just going to put it out there. If you encounter a student, please direct them to the Black Student Success Center. We don't want anyone to go unnoticed or unheard or unhelped.
Absolutely not. Thank you. Okay, with all of that, we are adjourned and only 7 minutes over. Thank you for everything. See you in 2 weeks.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.